Who are the coolest dudes on the planet?
United States veterans.
What's the coolest sport on the planet?
Pro wrestling.
And what would be the coolest podcast on the planet? That would be this one.
U.S. military vets talking pro wrestling.
This is the No Shave Man Cave. Two badass disabled vets sharing their love of pro wrestling, giving you their perspective as fans, talking about current events and matches, history of titles, and who knows what else. Let's do it.
Welcome to the No Shave Men Cave. Now your hosts, Ellie Jair and Jay Tilley.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, wrestling fans, and sports entertainment fans, welcome to the No Shave Man Cave. I'm Ellie Jair.
I am Jay Tilley.
Yay, yay. We are joined by two esteemed guests. One, very famous in his neck of the wood, the tickler, Jeremy. Thanks for coming, man. It is always good to see you. And our international correspondent for the cave, none other than the Tony. Sir, welcome, gentlemen. You are in the cave with Elliot Jair.
So, yes, we usually don't go live on the 22nd. We usually record these, but we were lucky enough to all get together today. And as those of our loyal followers know, this is Ellie Jair and I's favorite show to do. And if you're tuning in for our wrestling talk, might get a little wrestling, but mostly it's going to be about mental health. And we kind of get on here and tell our stories, talk about some of the things we do to cope and how we deal with some of our stories and all that good stuff. For those of you just joining us, Jeremy works in the industry, although your new job's still in the mental health world, right?
Oh, absolutely. It's more so than my last job, actually.
Perfect. Yeah. So he's in this industry. And then Tony is a friend of the channel, got his own channel and works with some people that, you know, if he wants to name drop, he can. I never want to be the one to do it. But the first thing I want to tell everybody when we do these shows is none of us are licensed. None of us are professionals. None of us have any degrees. It's just us on here talking and telling you our stories and what we've been through and what we're going through. And we kind of wing it and see where the show is going to take us. So, let's get into it. I usually start, but I'm actually okay. So I'm going to let Ellie Jair start, or Tony, or whoever wants. Tony, I know we got you for a short time tonight. So if you want to go first, that's fine.
Oh, well, I don't know. It was really great talking in the last one. Did we ever get the video up on I don't know. I don't know if that ever worked out.
It did.
It did. All right. Nice. Yeah, it was really great. And I just thought it was a good idea to come back. And one of the things that I wanted to talk about, it's about how sometimes it's because we had a great conversation the last time, right? But sometimes it's very hard to manage our highs so that we manage our lows. And I don't know if there's something that we're gonna get into, because sometimes we feel really good for a while because things go well, that we kind of forget that things not always are gonna go well. And then we have all those moments where like, oh man, I hate everything, you know? And that is because we get used to everything coming our way. And we have to manage those as well, just as well as we manage being, feeling down and feeling low and all this stuff. We have to be able to manage also, how we feel, how we, when we are in the good moments, we have to be able to know that, yes, these are good moments, but it's not always like this. And I think that's a thing that will help us a lot to manage our expectations. That's a thing, right?
Oh,
manage
absolutely.
our expectations of how we are supposed to be doing at any moment, because then we forget and then like, oh man, why can't I do it like I did last week, right? So I think that's something that I want to talk about.
I'm on board with that because it's very relevant to kind of what Jared and I are going through at work right now, and definitely understand that because we go through that too. And you said you got to manage the the ups and know that it's the downs coming. But I think on the flip side too, you got to understand when you're in those down slumps, the ups are going to come back. So being able to manage them both is very important for sure.
Yes, absolutely. I think that's exactly the point, right? That when you are, you have to be aware of both ends of the spectrum, so that you don't get yourself caught up in unwittingly being too positive about things, and don't and knowingly being too negative, because we know that we're being negative, even when we're low and we feel bad, we know that we're doing that, because we've seen the other side. But when we are on the good side of things, we are unknowingly just oh yes, this is, I'm gonna ride this wave through the holes, and that's not really.
Yep.
Well, I would say that I think it's important to embrace the ups. I think people who struggle, in my experience with mental illness, one of the most common things is not being able to enjoy the good things, not being able to enjoy the happy, because you're hurting so bad inside. When you're hurting and you're suffering, it's hard to accept that it's okay to be happy too. So I think it's, well, I could definitely see where you're coming from as far as wanting to kind of temper those moments, and understand that life isn't always ups, and you want to have those skills in place to deal with the lows too. I think you should enjoy and appreciate the ups, because life isn't always that way. When you live life and your life is a bumpy road of ups and downs, which that is the case for most of us, it can get easy to be lost in the downs, to just drown in sorrow. So I would say, for the most part, I think people struggle with accepting those ups. So I would say, don't deny yourself those good moments. Celebrate the little wins. That's been like my latest philosophy lately, both in my personal life and in work. When I'm working with someone, I try to get them to set small goals and celebrate the little victories, because the big victories are few and far between. We don't have those huge moments every day. You know, you don't get a promotion at work every day. You don't get a huge pay raise. You don't get married. You don't have children. All those wonderful, happy moments of life. They don't come every day. They're few and far between. So you have to learn how to appreciate the little moment. I went to work. I had no major issues at work. I talked to a couple of people I like working with, and it was a great day. I came home. My significant other was there. My pet was there, and everybody was happy to see me. And we had a good dinner, and that's a great day. And enjoy it, and celebrate it, and be happy about it. And don't sit around waiting for those big moments, because they're few and far between. And just enjoy the little things.
Yeah, I used to really, really look forward to the weekend. I was just like, oh man, I can't wait for my weekend. I'm so excited. And like a day and a half of my weekend was spent like moaning and groaning and complaining. I got to go back to work on my Monday, and it was just like, how was your weekend? So I wasn't even able, to enjoy. And because this is a wrestling show, not every moment is a WrestleMania moment. Not every moment is, a boyhood dream come true, and you're holding that title that you dreamt of every single day. But kind of like what Jeremy said, I made it through my day, got to see my pups. Both of my sons came over for dinner. I'm like, all right, things are going pretty good. But, Tony, you hit it on the nail with, how do I hang on to some of this energy from my highs, because I'm going to need it when my lows come around. And, we've got to be very, very fortunate. And, I kind of, I took a month break from talking with my counselor, and I am jonesing to talk to her on Monday. I have an appointment on Monday, and I'm so looking forward to just see where I am. Because right now I don't feel like I'm all over the place. But if someone else were to come over, Jay Tilley has seen me, all over the map, and he might be able to say, yeah, dude, it's good. Your appointment's on Monday. So, very, very timely. I'm glad you brought that up though, Tony. Just like, I shouldn't be upset because I had a good day, and I can't be hard on other people because I had a bad day, except for the people that made your day bad. And yeah, it's tough.
Yeah, it's funny because I actually my last counseling session is just kind of something we talked about, And one of the things I had talked about is I don't take joy in the ups. Like when the ups hit, I'm always like, all right, when's it going to end? What's the bad side? What's coming next? And I used to, and I've gotten a lot better at it, I'll admit, but would be like, couldn't be happy. It would always like, all right, well, I'm good now, but what's coming around the corner? Hey, we just had this great day. Oh my God, tomorrow, what's going to come? So I could never manage to hold on to the ups because I was always thinking of the downside. What was the next thing around the corner? And there's outlets now. Like, I messaged Tony the other day. I'm like, oh my God, I'm at work. This sucks. It was so awesome talking last night because it was an up to talk and to be with you guys and talk wrestling and all that. And then it's a down to go to my job and be like, oh God, like this is the same grind over and over again. But you got to be able to manage that. And one of the things that she brought up that I've kind of been using, and I did it a while in the past before I think my mental health kind of took a turn when I left the military and stuff, but I always would like set a goal or something I looked forward to in the future. So if it was, a big wrestling event, like, all right, that's coming up, I can look forward to that, or daughter's birthday, and then I fell off for a little while. I just like, well, I don't have anything to look forward to. There's nothing next coming. But that's not true. Like every day there's something big coming. Like every day you wake up, that's something to celebrate. So being able to kind of have that mentality of, yeah, I'm in a down or even in a high, and the downs are coming, being able to go look at the next step and go, all right, well, hey, this might be a bummer of a day, but hey, man, tomorrow, who knows? I'm gonna do whatever and might get a promotion, or I may walk in and lose my job, but when I get home, find out, my wife's pregnant or something. Not that that's gonna happen. I'm not jinxing myself. We've taken care of that problem, but I'm just saying for anybody else out there, that it could be one of those things where it's just you never know, and
the headline,
those ups and downs come, and that's just
breaking
life.
Jay Tilia's
I saw you
breaking
making
news.
a gesture.
See how many
What you
hits
got?
you can get.
Okay.
No, we'd be suing the Navy.
Two things. One was the baby. One, I was like, whoa.
Yeah, no, just kidding. I was just saying. I didn't lose my job
it's
either.
The same on our front. That would be like,
yeah. Tony's the only one we're waiting for now.
I know. If that happens, I'm gonna be like, yeah, it was about time. Like I knew I could do it.
Hey, the practice is always fun.
See, I know all those comic books and watching anime was not a deterrent. It didn't.
Dude, there's a geek movement going on. Where was that when I was in my 20s?
For real.
Like all these hot girls are like after geeks now because they realize that we don't cheat.
Yep, that's true.
No, and when was all this wrestling fandom when I was in high school? This is just like whatever, man. I'm like
wrestling fans were weirdos, geeks were weirdos. Nobody wanted any interest in them.
Now it's the opposite.
Jay and I were in high school together. Nobody had he hid that part of himself for the most of the time.
I had to. Yeah. I had to make myself.
I was like a Teenage Mutant Ninja.
No, go ahead.
No, go ahead. Yeah, I had to live like a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle in the dark, and for a little bit there, wrestling became popular because of the Heartbreak Kid, and everybody's like, "Ooh, wrestling!" I was like, "Yeah, let's go!" And then it died off, and I was like, "No, back to the dark shadows."
Well, but okay, like I had to like play the sports because it was like really important in the high school that I was going to. But I was mostly into Mondays were like whatever. I have to be home, 2 TVs, or switching channels. But at the same time, that was when there was the most viewership. So was everybody in the closet about liking wrestling? That's what I don't understand mentally. That's what I don't understand.
Young people were. Like teenagers were. Like older people, like my grandpa was an out and out open wrestling fan. But what did he care? He'd already been married for 30-something years at that point, when I was a teenager. He didn't care. Who cares if I'm a wrestling fan? But for the young people that are still trying to find a significant other, we were like, wrestling? Pfft, I don't watch that crap. What are you talking about? You reminded me of something. Flip a channel when I was both a WWE, WWF fan and a WCW fan, and flipping back between Nitro and Raw. And I got to give it to them. It annoyed the crap out of me at the time, but they both synchronized commercials, and it pissed me off so
Oh
much.
yeah.
But they made
Oh, yeah.
all those commercial dollars, all those advertising dollars, because you had no choice. You had to watch a commercial
Yep.
on one of those channels. It was like, all right, I'm going to pick the one that I think is going to come back first. That's the commercial I'm going to watch.
And then
I've thought about that for years.
if on top of that you have to add that I've come out as Mexican, so I did had an abuela, a grandma that will watch telenovelas, right? Then it will be Raw novela, and then like, oh, what Nitro, and like what, and then you come back to Nitro, and they're like, we'll be right back, and oh my god, what the,
I missed it.
No.
You should have explained to Grandma. These are novelas. That's what wrestling is. It's the same thing.
I eventually got her into it because of The Rock. The Rock allowed me to watch at least that segment in full, right? So yeah.
How disturbing is that now as an adult to think back that was the thing that drew your grandma in, and you now know why?
Yeah.
Yeah. No, she was very clear about why. So I was.
Well, the funny thing is, The Rock showed up on SmackDown and it drew me back in.
Yeah.
He showed up Friday and it drew me back in. So what's that saying about me? I was like, oh, I might actually watch it. The Rock showed up.
Who doesn't love The Rock? I mean, God damn it. But, generally if a woman is interested in The Rock and she's not interested in wrestling, you kind of know why.
Yep.
It doesn't matter why.
No, but
All
I mean,
right.
Shoot.
yeah. Speaking of that like, and the difference of how people like we were talking about this earlier. My girlfriend and I were talking about how I know this is kind of taking like a weird conversation, but it will get to a point. Like we're talking about how people in the like our parents or people older than me, because I'm like older than her, they will speak the same way, right? Yeah, they will speak the same way, and they will continue to speak the same way because they did not had to like conversate with other people that were not their age. Like people will just grow. And they'll be in their 30s, and so you continue to talk the same way you did in high school with your friends because you continue. But now, because of like, I'm not gonna say social media, but like everything that's happened, the interconnectivity of the world. Now we have to we pick up words from like 17-year-old kids, and now they become part of our speech, right? And or kids will be like, yeah, I like the way that sounds, and it just becomes a thing that so there is this different way of relating to other people that allows. I think that it has two sides of that, right? Because when we were in high school and we didn't have the internet, or the internet was in diapers or whatever,
that's two baby references.
We didn't have this interconnectivity to have to talk to other people, and we were not able to like group it because either there was a group that we can belong to, or like we had our families, and that's as far as we can talk to, right? Like right now, let's just put this into context. I was born in Mexico. When you guys were born
I was in Miami.
You were born in Miami. Okay, see that's just like distances that and right now we're talking to each other, and we have a community going on. And we have, people that will watch this and we'll be able to talk to each other. So that's a thing that didn't happen at all when we were growing up, right? So there's this other area that is the wrong side that becomes like a tribal. And in wrestling, we had this problem with people that, oh my God, no, I would not watch the Friday show, or I would not watch the Monday show. And I'm like, really? Why? Like,
just watch it all.
I'm pretty sure you can. I mean, if you want to spend your eyeball money on any channel, you can do that. Like, that's okay. You should be open to everything. Like, I wish I could watch more wrestling. Like, I do, but because like we talked about in the past show, there's so much things that there's this whole community, like the Riot Cabaret thing. I will never imagine that I would like a musical. Like, I don't like Chicago, right? I don't. That's a thing that I don't. But they did a whole segment. Nina Samuels did a whole segment where she sang a song from, and I was like, oh, wait a minute, that's I think I heard that before somewhere. Like, what is that from? Oh, that's from Chicago. I'm like, I have no idea, but I'm enjoying it right now.
That's awesome. Yeah. And to that point too is like, even right now, like I'm in Jacksonville Jared's in St. Augustine, you're in Mexico, and Jeremy's in Atlanta. So same thing, right? We're still spread all across the country, well,
Yeah.
the continent, chatting about wrestling and mental health. But like you said, the flip side of it is detriment. Like, we talked about we did our AEW show last night, and one of the things we talked about is, hey, go watch AEW. You've got to leave your tribalism at home and just go enjoy the product, because last Dynamite was really good. If you like sports
Jesus
entertainment, there was
Christ, it was
plenty
really
of
good.
that. If you like wrestling, there was plenty of that. It was a good show from beginning to end. And like, that was one of our final comments, is leave the tribalism at home. If you're listening to me and you're like, AEW sucks, it's only WWE. Okay, go check it out and leave that at home, and you might be surprised. And people miss out on so much because they get into their biases and their toxicity and their, one way is the only way to do it. And, just to loop it all right around, that's mental health too. That's, you want to be the right one all the time. You want to be on the up thing, and you're so combative against anybody that thinks something other than you. And I used to be that way. I used to get in arguments about politics. I lost a good friend for every 4 years we laugh that we don't talk to each other. But there was one year that got really serious to where I was like, I'm not talking to this guy anymore. I'm like, that's stupid. It's just his belief. I shouldn't take it that far. So it's it's just one of those things that, like I said, looping back to mental health, is you've just got to know that everybody's got an opinion, man. They might not always agree with you, but there's no reason to be hateful and attack people because of that.
Yeah, and there's so many different coping skills that you can
Right.
use, and I'm sure Jeremy could elaborate much more. Me, I used to look at everything like through rose-colored glasses, and then I got disappointed a couple of times, and then I was like uber cynical, and now I'm like, well, I'm in charge of my situation. I'm going to do the best I can, and anytime I need help, I'm not going to suffer in silence anymore. Those some of the memes or whatever, be a man, deal with the pain, break your back, be a man, that kind of stuff. And yeah, I'm extremely grateful for, not just our group, but just, finally being, and I will say, being man enough to ask for help. And, this is, every day I'm a little bit better version of me. And I think it's, has to do with, how I cope and handle. And in Jeremy, like I said, I'm sure you could elaborate. Each person who has whatever situation or whatever eye toward the world, they can probably, I don't want to say get away with, but use a different, coping mechanism.
I want to go off two things here. One, I gotta say this, and I I'm trying to really get this message across to people, and I think everyone here agrees with this. You're more of a man for confronting your emotions than you are for hiding them. I'm gonna say that again for the people in the back. You are more of a man for confronting your emotions than you are for hiding them. You hide your emotions, you're a coward. And I don't want to be insulting. I don't want to offend anyone, but I want to make it very, very clear that male stigma, that be a man, be a tough guy, is BS. It's going to get you sick, and it's the reason why suicide is the number one cause of men death. And that's saying something when we have a higher rate of heart disease than women do, and yet
And we're
suicide
dumber.
tops that.
100%.
And it's because of that toxic
Yeah.
masculinity, which I know some people cringe when they hear the word toxic masculinity because they think it's a weapon of the feminists. But no, it's true. We are toxic to ourselves. We have created this culture where it is a bad thing to have emotions, to be affectionate, to be expressive, to cry, to seek help. It's this somehow negative, horrible thing in which you will be stoned in public for doing, and that's such BS. And the only way that's going to change is if we put our foot down and say no, no more for women, no more for men, no more for whatever gender you associate with, whatever culture you're from. We're not going to take it anymore. We are not going to hurt ourselves to reach this ridiculous, unachievable standard that has been set by ourselves, but also by women too. By ourselves. We said it. We said it. But the women have come. There are plenty of women out there that have come to expect men to be that way. And you know what? I hope you stay single for a while and learn the truth. That might be harsh, but it is what it is. The other thing I wanted to pivot to is that because we were kind of leaning in this direction, the internet is both the greatest thing to happen to mental health and probably the most toxic thing to happen to mental health.
Yeah.
The availability of information has created an actual war on stigma that we're winning because of the internet. However, social media And internet communities are some of the most toxic things that you will encounter, that you will never see in the real world, most likely. Most of us will never encounter that level of toxicity in the real world. But you get these internet tough guys, and it can range from the gatekeepers that say, oh, you're not a real AEW fan because you haven't watched the beginning. Uh, or the people saying, because you watch AEW, you can't watch WWE anymore. What the hell's wrong with you? To like true toxicity where it's like you come out
Death
and say
threats.
something on the internet and all of a sudden like people you don't even know are bashing on you and hating on you, especially if you use something like TikTok or Instagram where you're out there for everyone. At least like Facebook, which is why the young people don't like it and we're just the old folk taking it over. Facebook is it's at least just your friends that are commenting, at least friends that are commenting. But if you put yourself out there to the general public, there's gonna be hate. There's gonna be hate, and I'm sure you guys have encountered it with the No Shave TikTok account. I'm sure you've gotten some hate, and it's like whatever, just brush it off. But it's not always that easy.
Yeah,
It's
we
really
had
toxic,
our
and it can hit you in the heart sometimes.
yeah, we had our. I think one of our first trolls hit one of the shorts I put up, and I just was like, I said something. I don't even remember what it was. I just agreed with him. Yeah, you're right. Next thing I know, he deleted the comment and went away. But it's just like I'm not going to argue with you. Like, yeah, okay, that's your opinion. You're right on it. You're allowed to have that opinion.
Well, I will recommend to tell them, yeah, that's right. Just share this with 3 of your friends.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
get more views.
Yeah. Please just like and subscribe and share it, and then tell everybody your opinion.
Absolutely, like, share,
Have
and
3 of
subscribe.
your friends and 3 of their friends, and
No, yeah, yes, that is. I mean, I see it every day. Like we have to manage the way that we look at our social media, especially for the public figures that I met, because there's a lot of there's just a lot of people that are out there, and this is something we talk about like on the first show that we did for 22nd. There's these people that, and it relates to what Jeremy was saying, that have not found how to deal with their feelings, right? And they just explode at a moment. So, and if you build up anger, and then you can just come out and say you are, what did Nyla say?
Keyboard warrior.
Letter, number. And you just come out like you're the worst piece of whatever, right? So, and you just write that, and it does give you that gratification, because in your brain it's the same thing as a public confrontation, right? Because that's what this is. So you think that you did something, talking about this toxic masculinity that exists as a concept, that it has been it has been kept in even in our culture, like in global culture, like pop culture. Every time, and I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, every time we see a dude cry on TV or on a movie or something, like, it always goes like, "Oh, I'm sorry," and then it starts crying. It's excusing itself from the crying that he's about to commit, right? It's gonna commit the crime
oh man, I
of,
never
of
even
crying
I
in
never
public.
even noticed that. That's
Yes,
crazy.
that is, and then we emulate that, and I'm like, why would you have to say you're sorry because you're crying? I mean, isn't the act of your feelings coming out? See, it's a transgression in society, right? The fact that your feelings are flowing out of you, and then you have a natural response, which is, having to cry because of a situation is sad or difficult or whatever, and they have to be like, "Oh, I'm sorry." And that is something that we have not stopped people from doing. Like, we have to stop saying sorry when we cry. We just cry, and that's it. You don't have to say that "Oh, I'm sorry for having a natural human response of a situation." That's insane. But then it becomes a thing, right? Like, it becomes a. I think there is this one. There's this one Macho Man interview with Arsenio Hall, I think, where they ask him if he ever cries. Have you ever seen that?
I think I have actually.
And then he says, like, yeah, I think that every man should have all the spectrum of feelings or emotions that are allowed to him. He said, I cried 1,000 times, and I will cry 1,000 times more. I love that. And it was
Wow.
like, it was like in the mid-90s, though, or even like Arsenio Hall was like in the early 90s, right? They ended the show in the early 90s. And yeah, so I was like, wow. Yeah, I was like, wow, that is insane. And I like that. I like that he says that, it's okay to cry, basically, right? But like in a very measurement kind of promo cutting thing. Yeah, yeah. And I think that's something that I mean, I think that's something that we should start by doing, like not excusing ourselves for having feelings, right? Because we do it in a funerals and stuff. And I've done it. I've done it a lot of times, especially like when like somebody passes away or something like that, and I start crying because I'm gonna miss the person. And I'm like, why? No, like, yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah, it was July of '92.
July of '92. Nice, nice. Oh, that was quickly.
He's a Google machine over there.
Yeah, wow, that's insane.
But you're just saying that you do it at funerals. I'm guilty of it too. Like, we come on here and talk about it, but I know for a fact I still have to like mentally choose to show my emotions instead of just instinctively doing it. If that makes sense. Like it used to be, I'm like, no, I got to hold it in. Well, now I'm having to fight that urge that I've trained myself for 40 something years of holding emotions in, to train myself to, okay, that's not the healthy way to do it, and it is okay to let it out and be vulnerable. Or it's not even being vulnerable, because I don't think that's the right term, just to be human. And and I have to mentally think about, like, because there'll be times that something will come up and I'm like, oh man, like I'm really upset about whatever the case is. I mean, Rob's birthday just passed and it was a really rough day for me. And in my head, I'm like, no, hold it in. I'm fine. But then I'm like, no, I'm not. Like, I'm not good. I'm having a rough day. I told Amy, I told the kids, I'm like, hey, I'm having a rough day. I'm sorry. Like, I'm upset. See, I did it just then. I said, I'm sorry about it. But, but I was upset about it. But I had to make that decision not to just bottle it all up all day, pretend nothing. It was just a normal day. It was a hard day. I don't even think I went to work that day. It was just like, I'm going to spend time with the ones I love. So it was a rough one. But like I said, I had to mentally tell myself it's okay to feel this way. And that's a shame. That's, like I said, 40 years of conditioning, especially being military. We go do and see and say and horrible stuff. Sometimes you just block it out. You compartmental, whatever that word is. You put it away in a different part of your brain, and you just forget about it. You block it out, and having to like release that stuff and let it out is okay, and it's normal, and you should be able to do that.
Yeah, and that's exactly the thing, that if we can make others aware of how we feel about something, that will allow them to understand what's happening, instead of just being like, "Ah!" And then you just like, or like you just, and this happens a lot. I see that you start crying for other things. Like, this is something that happened to me, and this is something that I was working on. And I told you this in the last show. If I was driving on my truck, right, on my pickup truck, and country music will come out, it was like I will lose my shit. And I had to figure out what was wrong, because now I cannot enjoy driving and listening to country music, which I love to. And so that's what happens. If it doesn't come out at the moment that it should come out, then it will come out when you least expect it, and either it might hurt you or it might hurt other people. So in the worst case scenario, it might hurt you and other people, right? So you have to allow yourself to express what you're feeling in the moment that you're feeling it, and you can tell the people, hey, you know what? I'm not having a good day because this and that, and like a couple of days ago, my it was the anniversary of one of my uncles passing away. It was the 20th. So, and that indicates that it's gonna be the 20th anniversary of me getting deported, right? So when I saw the publication, it was like everything just went like, oh shit. Because I have flashbacks of like 2002 to 2003, and how everything went in 2000. And this is the month when everything goes to shit. So so I was like, oh man, and I just had, and then I had to tell myself this is that part of the year when you feel like shit until your birthday.
There you go. Yep.
Then in your birthday, you're like, oh, okay, this is gifts, and Christmas is around the corner, So yeah, acknowledging the fact that you have feelings, right, and that they will come out, and then allow yourself to feel them and work through them, instead of just like, oh, that's it. No.
Yeah. Hold it in.
Hold it in. Yes. Yeah. Let's work through our feelings and allow ourselves to know they.
Yeah. 100% agree. And other than the fact that you listen to country music, we'll gloss over that part right now, but it could not be coming.
There's nothing wrong with that.
Man, I forgot you listen to country music too. It's the one genre I don't listen to.
Oh yeah.
But
Same.
So un-American.
That's coming from the Mexican.
Exactly. Yeah.
But you talked about the crying part, but it could also come out in other ways. Like it could be rage and anger, and that was something I dealt with, which I didn't realize at the time. Years and years ago, in my ex-wife, my previous marriage, it would come out in anger and rage, and I would just be angry and to the point of almost being violent. And so it's not always just I'm gonna sit on the couch and cry, or in a car listening to country music. It can come out in other ways. So if anybody out there is listening and you're, oh, man, why am I so angry? It's probably something you need to talk to somebody about, whether it's a friend, a group of friends, your significant other, or if you need to get help, call and get some counseling and talk to somebody, a professional. There's plenty of things out there right now. There's betterhelp.com. There's a few other ones online you can get. 988. We talk about it every show. If it's a crisis and emergency, 988. Veterans, there's the veterans hotline now and everything. So there's all kinds of ways if you're out there. And it doesn't just have to be men. I know this is 4 men sitting here talking, but it goes for women too. They deal with plenty of mental health issues, just like men do. They are a little more open and free with their emotions, but anybody out there can be dealing with an issue. So just want to make sure that just think about it, think about how you feel, and don't be afraid to talk to people.
Suppressed emotions will surface themselves. You honestly can't suppress an emotion. Even if you suppress it in the moment, it's gonna manifest itself. And maybe it manifests itself as sadness later on when you're alone, when you don't have any support and there's no one there for you to hold you, to comfort you. Or maybe it manifests its anger. That's pretty common. I went through that. Jay just admitted he went through that. It can also manifest physically. Our minds and body are one. You can get sick, physically sick, because of stress and emotional weight, emotional burden. And suppressing it it compounds itself. It's proven that our immune system is weakened by our emotional state. If we are suppressing on our emotions, if we are not dealing with our emotional stressors, we are weakening our immune systems, making ourselves more vulnerable for everything from the common cold to COVID to cancer. I hate to drop the C word, but it's true.
Yeah.
There's been studies to prove that people who are struggling with cancer, who are under heavy stress, have a harder time battling the cancer than the people who manage their stress. It's just proven. Our minds and bodies are one. I went through a whole training on whole health and wellness, and though I am not obviously an example of physical wellness, I at least have the knowledge and understanding that I recognize the fact that our bodies and mind are connected. It's all one thing. There's a joke that goes around. There's been an amazing discovery. There is a connection between the mind and body. It's called the neck. So this should not be shocking. We're all connected.
Where's my drum roll? Yeah.
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 But so
we're here all week.
They all feed on each other. Our physical
Yeah.
state affects our mental state. Our mental state affects our physical state. So suppressing those emotions, hiding away your feelings, it's going to come out one way or another. Better to just get it out in a controlled environment when you're with your loved one. And if you're significant, not to be judgmental of other people, but if your significant other doesn't support you being emotional, you need to stop and question whether you're in the right relationship.
That's always a good point.
That's just the reality of it.
Hey,
fiance,
we are
almost
in the
wife.
right relationship here. That's for damn sure.
Well, your wife is a therapist, so she better be supportive.
All right.
My fiance, almost my wife, less than 2 months. She is so supportive and so supporting. Like Jason and Rob, we mentioned him a lot. He was our brother. It's been almost a year, which is it's gonna be a rough anniversary.
November's gonna be rough.
It's gonna be during my honeymoon too.
Oh,
yeah.
That's good. Replace the negative with a happy.
Yeah.
There it is.
There you go. Where's
He
the
would kick my
boob?
ass if
Bring
I
the
was
boob
sad
out.
on my honeymoon.
Bing, 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 bing. Yeah.
That's what a lot of times I think. What would Rob think if I did this? Like if I
Yeah.
was sad on my honeymoon, he would kick the crap out of me.
Yeah.
So he would tell me to go have kinky sex. So
That's true. He probably would.
Yeah, he would. He totally would.
Yeah,
But
I think on that note, we should quick shout out to Rob. I know he's
hey,
looking
cheers
down.
to Rob.
He's got you guys wrapped up and keeping you safe, and he's allowed us to enable us to join like we did here today. G. Tilly,
So
you're the best, man.
outstanding. If you joined us for the first time and this is your first time hearing the show, we're not always talking mental health. We do talk a lot about wrestling, mostly. We do this show once a month. It is very important and close to us. We've all experienced mental health issues. I kind of mentioned it before. I'll mention it again. 988 if you're in crisis. If you feel like you're going to harm yourself or someone else, please reach out and get some help. Again, I'll also say we are not licensed. We're not therapists. We don't have any certificates. We are just four dudes talking about mental health because it shouldn't just be certain people doing it. We're two veterans who talk about it because we started talking about it on the 22nd and do the 22 suicides daily that veterans commit. So it kind of spawned off, and we were lucky enough to get Jeremy on the show and now with Tony on the show. So it's growing, and I appreciate everybody listening in. I'll let you two plug anything you got before I wrap us up. Jeremy, you got anything?
I got nothing to plug. My podcast is on hold. I'm getting married in less than 2 months.
I figured that's what we were waiting for.
I'll be in my honeymoon for 2 weeks. So, and then it'll be December and the holidays. So eventually I'll get this damn thing started. But
let's sit down and map it out.
Plug. What?
Let's sit down and map it out so we can launch it the first of the year or beginning in
that
January.
Would be nice.
Yeah, we'll sit down and map it out and get it in January. Tony, what you got?
But I will just,
sorry.
I will again say, if you're in crisis, if you need help, call 988. If you need support and you don't know who to turn to, look to your local community services. Look to, I encourage you because I am one. Look for peer support. Look for peer support because peer support is people who are living with mental illness. They know what you're going through, and talk to them. Even if you're not comfortable with a therapist, if you're not comfortable with a psychiatrist, start there and go and build up. Take care of yourselves. Be honest with your feelings. Don't hide what you're feeling because it's going to show up eventually.
All right, Tony, what you got?
Oh, well, just it's great to do these shows. I hope to continue doing them because it proves that there can be friendships that take care of each other's health, and it is not judgmental of how you feel or how you came to this realization that you need to take care of your mental health. And I really look forward to continue doing this with you guys. And please go and support La Mera Mera Thunder Rosa at youtube.com/@Thunder Rosa and at Thunder Rosa 22 in all social media platforms. And if you want to hear crickets from me in Twitter, just can go to Tony St. Allen. That's on Twitter, and on Instagram it's Tony St.Allen, and that's mostly art and stuff that I do.
Cool,
video art and all the stuff.
Appreciate both of you guys being on. If you want to follow us, please do. No Shave Man Cave, YouTube and Rumble. If you're watching us, hit subscribe and like wherever it is on the screen. I'm not sure. And we appreciate all the support. Podcast is almost 165,000 downloads on our audio podcast alone. So amazing stuff. Now we just got to grow our YouTube and Rumble community. Appreciate every one of you. No Shave Man Cave, wherever you get your podcast from. Just look for us. We're out there. And if you want to reach out to us, noshavemancave@gmail.com. We're also on Twitter, Instagram, Threads, all those other ones. And you know what time it is. Take us out.
Bump and feed, bump and feed. Thank you so much to my brothers from another mother, Tony and the Tickler. Man, that could be a tag team. Really, really appreciate it. Really look forward to doing these shows because it is a unfortunate necessity. To all our brothers and sisters in arms, please keep doing what you're doing. Hurry up, get your ass home because you are needed right back at home. Till next time, my friends, my fam, thanks for checking us out. Take care of yourselves, take care of each other, and we'll see you on the floor.
You've been listening to the No Shave Men Cave.
If it's pro wrestling, we're talking about it. Unless we see something shiny and wander off into the woods. If you hang around long enough, we'll eventually come back. We hope you've enjoyed the show. Fire off your comments and be sure to leave us a 5-star rating. And we'll be back soon. But in the meantime, hit us up on Twitter, YouTube, and TikTok at No Shave Men Cave. Y'all be cool. And we'll see you next time on the No Shave Men Cave.